Today, we inspect this white line issue, this little guy jumps off a trailer, we trim a perdunculated corium, and Doogie goes round the twist.
Yep, that is coming up today in this episode of the Hoof GP. Also, why doesn't he wrap it? Why no salicylic acid on it? Why no iodine? Why no wrap? Why? You guys really want to know why? Check that out for a morning sky. And in this video, I'm going to answer why do we wrap some cows' feet and not other cows' feet, and hopefully everything will go smoothly. This is the Hoof GP.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
What a sky to wake up to. Luckily at this time of year, that is what I wake up to an awful lot of the time when it's not raining. I do live in Scotland. Today we have got some checkups, some MOTs, some annual servicing to do, and we are trimming 40 beautiful but maybe feisty Montbéliard cows. They're a dual purpose cow, which basically means they're quite beefy, but at the same time they're used for milk production, which can make them quite fiery. And today is their annual service, so we will be trimming their feet. There won't be that many problems, but there will be some. But we'll also be injecting them with some vitamins and things like that that will take care of them over the coming months while they get ready to have their babies. It really is a particularly beautiful morning, actually. I discovered new coffee, by the way. It has changed my world. Seriously. It's the most amazing coffee ever. It's from a little coffee shop in Glasgow called Jelly Hill. I literally bought every bag they had. Look at that. That's called crema. I did actually, in a former life, used to run a chain of coffee shops, by the way, so I absolutely love coffee. That's where it comes from, my love of coffee. Some of the coffee shops were city centre, some were town centre, some were village centre, but one of them was right next to a train station in Preston city centre, and that was probably my favourite one. It was awesome. Every morning, about half five in the morning, I would sit with my coffee and my freshly baked croissant with all of the lights off before the shop actually opened, weirdly listening to opera. It was an amazing time. It's weird how you find yourself in these different kind of life situations. I seem to have lived a few of them. And by the way, I did actually make Mrs. HCP a coffee. It's sitting over there. She's getting beautified in the back. Jelly Hill Coffee, Hindland Road, Glasgow. Go and check them out, but don't mention me, don't say I sent you, because they won't have a clue who I am.
Every single cow on this farm gets an MOT or a full service in the way that we're doing once a year, every single year, and if there's any overgrowth in between, it gets dealt with there and then. Believe it or not, that is a full-size bike. It's just an oversized person. Doogie is like 6'7" or something. Because these cows are so well attended to and they live outside for a lot of the year, their feet are inherently very good indeed, which allows us to work through them very quickly indeed. Right, let's go.
Hey, I wish you could see yourself just sitting there on my chair. I'm staring at you, you don't even notice. Should've told you straight away, you don't have to be afraid anymore. I know you haven't noticed.
seen hoof trimming, and this is what we do a huge amount of the time. You just don't see it that often because, quite frankly, a lot of you aren't that interested in it. But this is the bulk of our work. And as the cows are coming in, Kevin is dosing them, making sure that every one of them gets their allocated booster jags, just the same for me and you. So we've trimmed about 25 cows so far, and we haven't really done anything to them other than make sure the feet are balanced and taking any bruising away. Oh, one cow had a block for a very minor thing. Basically, she had excessive bruising on her feet, which we really don't want, and we don't want it to turn into anything nasty, so we blocked her just to make sure it didn't. And just like that, they burst the bloody gate open. This, oh my god, I think Kevin actually got them back. 2 got away, 83 and 259. We need to know that, not because of the feet more, but more because they've missed their jag, their inoculation. If Kevin had been down in the gym a few more times, that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have lost those two, would we, Kevin?
I didn't see you running.
No, he didn't see me running, to be fair, because I was incapacitated by the gate and the cow in the crush.
That's it.
And luckily that wasn't our fault because we weren't the ones who closed the gate. One rule on the farm that is the most important one ever: always close the gate properly. Right, back to it.
Actually, while Kevin does that, I'm going to explain something to you all.
You see, it's not just as simple as a cow having a sore foot, so you just whack a bandage on because it looks good and it might work. That is not what we do at all. It's not what we're about. We do what we absolutely know needs done for the cow. Don't get me wrong, if we kind of think it might maybe kind of sort of need a bandage, then we do put a bandage on because it's better to be safe than sorry. But the differences between putting a bandage on and not are fairly simple. If it's a clean wound, something that peels away and there's maybe a droplet of claret, if it's clean, healthy, fresh hoof horn or skin underneath what we've removed. So in other words, if the exposed part of her foot is clean and fresh and tidy, there's no infection, no dermatitis or anything like that, then she doesn't really need a bandage. In fact, if anything, you actually don't want to put a bandage on. For bacteria to breed, you need moisture, heat, and a little bit of oxygen. Bandages hold in moisture. They create heat because the heat can't dissipate away through the bandage itself. So putting a bandage on can actually be the perfect breeding ground for bacteria sometimes.
If we just stop at there a second, this cow has got a seriously sore ulcer. It is excruciating to say the least. But this cow's ulcer is going to be the most beautiful trim you've ever seen, and you'll see why she doesn't need a bandage. I already know, because I've seen her walk into the crush, how sore she is. I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know if she needs a bandage. All I know is how sore it is. And as we start to remove the layers of the hoof horn away from the lesion below, it starts to open up and we can see that it's a pedunculated ulcer. That means an ulcer that basically has a kind of stem or stalk sticking out of the corium and then it becomes bulbous. That is pedunculated. This ulcer needs to be trimmed away very, very carefully. The layers of hoof horn round about it are disconnected, but we need to make sure we don't make the ulcer bleed if possible. So I'm being as careful as I possibly can be not to graze that ulcer.
Didn't really leave the villa that much. We just had a relax and just sit by the pool a few days. It was perfect actually. A lot of the time we'll go on holiday and we end up doing so much that when we come home we're more tired than when we went.
Earlier I said this cow was in excruciating pain and that she had a pedunculated corium. We can't quite see that it's a pedunculated ulcer right now, but when we finish the trim we will be able to see that. Pedunculation is when there's a small stem of flesh or tissue sticking out with a bulbous end, meaning that the hole that ulcer has come through is actually smaller than the ulcer itself. So whenever she steps, there is both hoof horn surrounding the ulcer and actually behind a portion of it. So every time she steps, that hard hoof horn is insulting the corium and inflicting a huge amount of pain on the cow.
Sole ulcer 3.
We record everything we find on cows' feet on a tablet so the farmer can later see exactly what is wrong with each cow.
It helps their pain levels and because because they're in less pain, they walk more, so that actually helps them to heal as well.
If you try to focus on the exposed flesh, you can see it's bulbous and actually pushing out of that hole behind, which is causing the pedunculation. From this angle, hopefully it's more clear to see exactly what I've been talking about and why it's been so sore for the cow above.
So there you have it. There's no infection, there's no digital dermatitis. All we need to do is shrink that ulcer up, and iodine is going to do that job. And the block actually will help to heal the ulcer up, not just because it's lifting it off the ground, but also because it's lifting it off the ground out with slurry, so that will help it to dry out, dehydrate, and allow uniform to form underneath. Anyway, back to me.
So what is it that makes us decide to put a bandage on? Quite simply, if we want to kill the outer layers of the tissue, skin, hoof horn, or whatever it is, then we will put a bandage on. Salicylic acid and iodine work by dehydrating those outer layers, thereby killing all of the cell structure within the hoof horn tissue, whatever it is that you're completely coating it in. Killing that tissue kills the infection or the digital dermatitis that is within that tissue, and that is why we put a bandage on. We're not putting bandages on to try to keep these cows clean.
For instance, this cow has a very serious white line problem, but what is complicating the matter in a very serious way is digital dermatitis. If we clean this whole area off once we finish the trim and take a much closer look at the corium, we can see that it is deeply infected by the spirochete treponema called digital dermatitis. All of this area here is being attacked and eaten away.
Dermatitis is actually attacking the sole of the foot, or the corium rather, so the hoof horn can't reform unless it is completely dead. And to kill it, we need to make sure it's completely saturated with iodine and salicylic, so that the deeper layers of tissue actually get penetrated and that product stays in place for as long as it needs to kill that infection completely. If there's an abscess like this cow and it's nice and clean and tidy underneath, we want anything that does build up or start to reproduce and start to refill up, we want it to drain away. We don't want to introduce heat, moisture and a little bit of oxygen, because that is going to encourage infection. Most of the people watching this are from inner cities or from villages or from islands, I don't know, but most of you don't have cows, so you think that a farm is an incredibly dirty environment. But actually slurry itself, as long as there's nothing kind of weird going on with the cows, isn't that dirty? I don't know how to explain that. But the bacteria that are in the slurry itself, so the feces that are on the ground, isn't usually that harmful to the cow's feet. I hope that clears that up.
I pray he reads what's on the note and takes to heart what I wrote. I said, son, when you grow up, you'll be fine. I know you've got questions on your mind. Life is gonna happen one way or the other, whether you like it or not. Stop looking for the answers and you'll find what you've got. When you grow up, you'll be fine. I know you've got questions on your mind. Life is gonna happen.
So we've nearly finished trimming the 40 or so cows here that were in for routine pedicures, but the farmer said he has got one very lame cow that he's hoping he can get in, but the vet is dealing with them just now, so hopefully they're able to get hold of that cow and get it down here, because it would be good to fix her now without having to come back. And literally a few seconds after I said that, a float has turned up, which I'm hoping has the cow inside. Did you get her? Him? Cow's turned into a bull. That was a cow! Thought it was a cow. This probably makes me a terrible hoof trimmer, but what foot is he lame on?
No, it's just the state of the hoofs, that's all.
Oh right, okay, they're just a bit long. Ah, okay. His front feet are a bit long. So there was actually a bit of a miscommunication. He's not a lame cow, he's a bullock with long front feet. These are not supposed to be like that. His back feet look pretty much spot on.
As soon as we pick them up though, it turns out they will benefit from a little tickle with the grinder.
You have to be so delicate when you trim an animal of this age. Because their feet are so small, millimeters really matter, and you can go too far really easily. I showed you his front left foot there. This is his front right foot, and it's exactly the same. Even just doing that small modification makes it look better, doesn't it? Although clearly we're not stopping there.
It is virtually impossible to say with any real certainty why this little bullock's feet have turned out this way. It's certainly not mistreatment. The cows and calves and bulls and any animals at this farm are really well looked after, which explains exactly why we were able to rush through those 40 cows so easily and so quickly. Nevertheless though, his feet have turned out like this, and it's our job to do something about that.
Because his feet are abnormal in shape, the want and the temptation is just to crack on and make this foot the same size as this foot, but this is an irregular hoof, so we need to trim it in a slightly irregular way.
Not only will correcting the shape of his feet right now make him more comfortable, but later on in life it should help to ensure that he doesn't become lame because of them.
It's actually going soft already, which tells me something is amiss underneath rather than a pocket. So we're actually going to put a block on here to try to make this claw the same size as this claw. If I get the back of my knife here, you can see how soft that foot is. Just like humans, cows have irregularities. Sometimes one hoof is slightly bigger than the other one. You might have bigger hands than the other person or whatever. This little guy's outer claws, but they're slightly different to the norm. We're using this plastic block because this is a long-term solution, so that this isn't really in contact with the ground. This will continue to grow and this problem will just reoccur and reoccur. By using a plastic block, we shouldn't need to change this, and because Hoof Grip Pro will hold it on forever pretty much, this bull or bullock should be alright for probably the next 4 or 5 months, and then he'll need retrimmed to get rid of that overgrowth all over again. As we saw earlier, it is exactly the same. There's a real twist in this hoof. Usually they just twist this way, but the whole thing is rotating around in a corkscrew style.
Cows' feet almost always mirror each other from side to side. Maybe not entirely, but definitely in some respects. And this little guy's feet are no different.
So as Kevin just puts that block into place, we'll go around and modify the other block. Much better. We'll just finish this trim off by taking as much as possible from that outer claw to make this trim last as long as possible. You've probably not seen me trimming like this before, but this is not a regular trim, as I've probably said far too many times by now. Yeah, starting to go soft there, so we're gonna stop right there. But we are gonna modify the block in exactly the same way as we did the other hoof. By the way, if I'm speaking with a bit of a lisp, which I don't know if you picked up on that, I got these weird things on my teeth because they're not as straight as they should be, and we're trying to fix that. Those blocks fit the vast majority of cows, so it just shows how small his feet are. Cows and bulls' feet pretty much continue to grow all of their lives. They do slow down, but in general the bone structure within them is constantly getting bigger. Now he is really not sure about his new shoes, is he? But he will get used to them very, very quickly, and he's away to the field anyway. So he's not going to be slipping around on that concrete for very long at all. Peoples, this has been the Hoof GP. Thank you very much for watching us. Goodbye.